Welcome to Gearhaven. This is a gentle fantasy story from the world of the Detective Glint, where mysteries are solved with kindness instead of fear. Find a comfortable place to rest and let the lantern light guide you. Lanterns in the Fog. Meet Detective Glint. The fog always arrived first. Not thick enough to hide the streets and never cold enough to bite. It drifted in gently from the canals, curling around lampposts and gears, softening the sharp edges of Gearhaven until the city felt like it was exhaling after a long day. Detective Glint liked the fog. It slowed people down. From his office window above Copper Row, Glint watched lanterns flicker to life one by one. Steam hissed from grates below. Somewhere a bell chimed the hour. Not urgently, just enough to remind the city it was still awake. Glint adjusted his coat and picked up his lantern. In Gearhaven, people expected detectives to chase shadows. Glint did something different. He listened. Gearhaven was a city built on movement. Gears turned behind brick walls. Airships drifted overhead. Trams rattled along rails older than memory. People hurried, always convinced the next corner held something important. But the real mysteries, Glint had learned, were quieter. They lived in places people avoided. A shop that closed too early. A street no one walked anymore. A name that stopped being spoken. Glint had not always been a detective. Once he had been an apprentice engineer, fascinated by mechanisms and clockwork logic. Gears made sense. Causes led to effects. Problems could be solved by tightening the right bolt. People, however, did not work that way. His first lesson came years ago, on a night much like this one. The call had been small. A baker reported strange noises behind her ovens after closing. Scratching, she said. Whispers. The kind of thing that made neighbors talk. The city guards wanted to board the place up. Glint asked to look first. He found no intruder, no vandal, no curse. He found a maintenance spirit, a leftover fragment of old magic, trying desperately to keep the bakery warm. It believed the baker would freeze without the ovens running overnight. It had been alone for decades. When Glint spoke to it calmly, when he asked why instead of how, the spirit stopped rattling the vents. The baker never knew how close she came to losing her shop. That night, Glint understood something important. Fear creates noise. Kindness creates answers. By the time Glint opened his detective office, word had spread quietly. He didn't advertise. People found him the way they found warm lights in the fog. A note slipped under the door, a knock after dusk. A hesitant voice saying, "This might sound strange." Glint never laughed. He poured tea. He listened. He asked a question no one else did. Tonight's case came in the form of a folded letter. It was sealed carefully and placed on his desk sometime after sunset. No return address. Inside, the handwriting was neat, but uncertain. Something is wrong, but I don't think it means harm. Everyone else says I'm imagining it. Please don't bring guards. Glint smiled faintly. He took his lantern and stepped back into the fog. The street led him toward the older part of Gearhaven. Buildings leaned together like tired friends. The lantern light revealed small details most people missed. Scuffed bricks, worn thresholds, places where countless feet had paused before moving on. He stopped near a narrow alley where the fog pooled thickest. "Hello," Glint said gently. The fog shifted. A presence stirred. Not threatening, not frightened. Just uncertain. "I don't know what I'm supposed to be anymore," it whispered. Glint crouched, setting his lantern on the ground so its light spread evenly. "That happens," he said. Cities change. They're moving past me. Glint nodded. But you're still here. The presence relaxed slightly. This was not a ghost. Not a monster. Not even magic in the way stories told it. It was a memory, formed from years of footsteps, conversations, shared warmth. A fragment of the city itself, worried it had been forgotten. Glint stayed until the fog thinned, until the presence felt seen. He did not banish it. He promised something better. I'll help you find your place, he said. When Glint returned to his office later that night, the city felt quieter, not emptier, settled. He set his lantern down and wrote a note in his casebook. Not all mysteries want to be solved. Some want to be understood. He closed the book and looked out at Gearhaven once more. Somewhere another lantern flickered on, and Detective Glint waited, ready to listen. Thank you for spending this time in Gearhaven. If you enjoyed this gentle mystery, you'll find more stories waiting in the playlist. Until next time, keep your lantern close and rest